You've probably heard the term shift-left testing being thrown around, and a lot of developers assume it just means running your tests earlier. But really, all it means is reviewing your code the moment you write it, before you submit it to your team to look over. In Qodo, we've built a code review tool that does exactly this, and it catches hundreds of issues a month that would otherwise show up days later in a review or break something in a production. So in this video, I'm going to explain exactly what shift-left looks like in practice and then show it live on screen before pull requests so you can start catching bugs while you're still writing them. Let's get into it. So the problem with how code review normally works is that it all happens way too late. Almost all of it happens when you open up a pull request, which is when you submit your finished code for your team to review. And this means that the review starts only once you've already written everything, committed it, and maybe even moved on to the next task. And this is the kind of delay that causes two big problems. The first big problem is timing. Feedback can come back in hours. It all depends on how busy your developers are, and by that time you are going to be working on completely different. And the time may be even worse because you may have lots of things to do. You might be in the middle of big refactoring or working on a really big task. Which means by the time someone points out a bug, issue, or architectural decision that needs to be done differently, you're completely moved on. You are focusing on something totally different, and now you have to use all of that cognitive load to get back to the initial task and fix the problem, fix the bug, or change the architecture. The second big problem is volume. There's way more code waiting for review than there used to be, because now we have AI, we have Cursor, Claude Code, Codex, you name it, and it writes so much more code these days. This means that the number of pull requests keeps on growing while the number of people reviewing them stays pretty much the same. So shifting left means moving that review earlier. Instead of waiting for the pull request and your colleagues' comments, you will review the actual changes while you're still working on the problem, while you're still working on the machine, or maybe even before you commit the changes. That way you can catch a problem while it's still fresh, and you can fix it in seconds right there while you still have focus on that task. Alright, so let's now talk about what a review like this actually looks at. It's not just your usual code checks running a little sooner. A full shift-left review goes a lot deeper than that. Those kind of checks only catch typos and formatting in file that you're working on. A full review understands what your change does to everything around it, and it works at various levels. The first level is syntax. It's the small things like missing brackets or a typo or small mistakes inside the one file that you're editing. And these types of checks matter, but they're the shallowest level. The second level is context, which is how your change affects the rest of your code. Say you rename a shared function that other three files depend on. A syntax check sees nothing wrong, but a full review spots that those three files just stop working before any of it reaches your teammate. The third level is your domain, which means your own business and safety rules. This is the kind of rule no generic check could ever catch on its own, like a rule that a payment has to fully clear before you mark an order complete. A shift-left review can hold your code to rules like that, because you write them down once and apply them to every change. The fourth level is your whole branch, which is just all your changes so far put together. Each change you save on its own might look fine, but put them all together and they can do something none of them did alone. Checking the whole branch before you open up the pull request catches that combined effect, while it is still easy to fix. Another level, if we go even higher, is checking the whole repo. This is a category of problems that are not even related to the files that you have changed, but they can live in a totally other side of your repository. You change something over here and something breaks way over there. And finally, checking for issues in another repos. Let's say you introduce a change that looks clean, but it might introduce a problem in another repo. These are the hardest issues to find, and they can sneakily break your whole production. With all that said, let me show you how these levels actually look like. By the way, if you want to run these same reviews on your own codebase, you can get started with Qodo for free by clicking the first link in the description. Anyway, let's keep going. Alright, so here's a little app I made, and I want to take a look at potential issues that I have introduced with my latest changes. So the first thing I'm going to do is to take a look at all of the uncommitted changes. So I'll hit the start button to review them, and I can see Qodo is reading all of the files where the uncommitted changes live. So right off the bat, we have found a couple of issues. One potential bug that we have here is that we're accidentally assigning a value instead of checking for whether the order status is cancelled. So this is an example of a syntax issue that might occur. And here's another issue. When I call my cancel order function, I don't really handle the error, which can cause a problem with the rate limit. If I accidentally get rate limited, I'm going to get stuck. My button will never come out of the disabled state, leaving the user not knowing what to do. This is an example of a change where nothing in our diff actually screamed bug, but a downstream effect of this change is going to cause trouble. So the context of this change is the thing that is more important than the change itself. Now let's open a new chat with Qodo and let's now take a look at committed changes. As you can see, the process with committed files is pretty much the same as with uncommitted. Qodo is going to take a look at all of the files that were changed and is going to look for potential issues. Now, as you can see, Qodo has found multiple issues. The highest impact one can be found here. The refund service now allows to make a refund more than once, which would probably cost my company a lot of money. Besides these issues, Qodo has also found other potential bugs that I can easily go ahead and resolve in Cloud Code. Clicking on the button will open Cloud Code in my terminal, paste in the prompt to fix the issue, and Cloud Code will take care of the rest. This immediately improves the quality of the code that I'm putting on a pull request. It saves time, effort, puts higher quality code to the review process, and helps my colleagues review the things that actually matter. Speaking of pull requests, I want to show you one more thing. Here is a pull request that I have opened on my API server repository. Now, API server suggests that there's also a web client which changes on this API server actually affect. And that's exactly what's happening in this PR. On the PR time, Qodo actually found a cross-repo conflict. So we're not only looking at the diff or all of the problems that could happen on this repository, but we're actually looking much wider. We're looking at the issues that might be introduced when this changes is deployed. Here's a cross-repo conflict. Because I have made changes to the response keys, merging this pull request would actually break my web client. The contract between API server and the web client no longer holds, which means that even though seemingly I have done everything right, I'm breaking my production. This kind of issue would have had really high impact and would be kind of hard to pinpoint what's happening and why it is happening, because none of the changes that happened in the repo that's affected, but it has happened in the service that the other repo is using. Now, if you want to find these issues on your own code before any of it becomes a pull request, you can get started with Qodo for free by clicking the first link in the description. You can get all of these features right in your editor, so you can start catching bugs while you're still writing the code when they only take a second to fix. And if you want a developer's perspective on manual and automated review, then check out this video next.